Hi there, I'm Jonathan Laskowski and I'm a PhD student at Monash University. And today I'm going to be talking to you about accuracy in writing. I'm going to be talking you through a few points about being accurate in your writing, but also why it matters and how to write better. Hopefully this will help you with your essays, and I hope you find something interesting in this video. So accuracy in writing. This starts at the level of the sentence because language gathers. It gathers ideas, meaning, and values. Gathers these things together and in a sense binds them. You might have heard about deconstruction through writers like Derrida. This task is actually about the opposite. It's about building up meaning. The essay is about creating a series of layers. If you keep opening up the ideas, you aren't building an argument. So you need a reason, a connection. This applies to both drawing and writing. This starts with a sentence. The sentence gathers the ideas contained within it. Barth, who was a structuralist, notes that linguistic analysis stops at the level of the sentence because it cannot be reduced to the sum of the words within it. So here again, we're seeing language gather. For Barth, the sentence, writes Martinet, is the smallest segment that is perfectly and wholly representative of discourse. So you could think of the sentence as the line in drawing. You can't start a drawing without a line, and you can't start writing without a sentence. So if the sentence gathers the ideas contained within it, then the grammar structures that meaning. This goes right down to the level of a comma. So I'm going to look at an example from David Foster Wallace. Bob's been murdered. Poor Bob. The question is whether Rhonda did it. So let's look at the following two sentences. This is a little bit kind of year 10 English, I understand, but it's an important point and it's important to remind ourselves of these points. So sentence 1, Rhonda didn't do it because she loved him. Sentence 2, Rhonda didn't do it because she loved him. So which of these is grammatically correct? Take a moment and think about that. You can even pause the video if you want and pick one. Well, actually they're both correct. Sentence 1 is grammatically correct. It says that Rhonda did kill Bob, but the reason she did so wasn't love. Sentence 2 is also correct. It says that Rhonda did not kill Bob, and the reason she didn't is because she loved him. So the comma here fundamentally changes the meaning of the sentence. In one of these, Rhonda is guilty, in the other, she isn't. The language gathers the meaning, but that meaning is structured through the grammar. A comma in the wrong place is like a line out of place, or an extra zero in your scale. It throws everything out. The meaning is gathered in language. You need to make sure this is clear, accurate, and balanced. So within sentences, we have clauses. Clauses in sentences tell the reader what the sentence is about. You want to make sure that there aren't too many of these. Okay, let's look at an example here. This project will be used to investigate the dual nature of time, drawn from Barbara Mender's Time and Landscape and the interrelationships between matter and time from Susan Harrington's Landscape Theory and Design, and they will be explored to interrogate how this position augments time through synthetic matter. Okay, this is a bit of a mouthful, to be honest. Two clauses are okay in a sentence, but really only if you're in command of the language. You can see here, this is a multiple clause sentence, and because that command isn't there, you're starting to lose the meaning of the sentence. There's a few interesting ideas in here for sure, but they're all a bit all over the place. So there are too many clauses. It's starting to lose its focus. And here are the three clauses. You can see this when there are too many kind of connective words as well. Lots of and, as well as, etc., etc. So a way to work on this would be to break it down into two sentences. This project will be used to investigate will be used to investigate two conceptions of time, Barbara Bender's time and landscape, and Susan Harrington's landscape theory and design. The latter will be used to examine the interrelationships between matter and time. Both will be used to interrogate how this position augments time through synthetic matter. So we've actually broken it up into 3 sentences. Now, it might seem a bit simplistic to have kind of shorter sentences like this, but it means that if your writing is more accurate, the idea will be better conveyed to the reader. Okay, it can sometimes make your writing feel a little bit choppy, but that's better, to be honest, than having one massive sentence that confuses the reader. You're better to have punchier, slightly shorter sentences that guide the reader through it. Okay, so one common problem that I see in a lot of students is the term this. Okay, it's often unclear which this is being referred to. So is this the author's own, Bender's position? Is it Harrington's position? When you say this position, you better be absolutely clear what it is that you're referring to. If not, change the word. If you're referring to Bender's position or how my position is augments time, say so. So here we go. The latter will be used to examine the interrelationships between time and matter. So I've changed it slightly and the ambiguity is removed, so it's clearer. Paragraphs. Paragraphs help your reader situate him or herself in the logical progression of your argument. Okay? They help the reader. You should have one main point per paragraph. Paragraphs also help you in the redrafting process because you can see the bones of your argument and consider whether each bone is placed in the correct part of the skeleton. You might need to move these around a bit. Avoid submitting a wall of words. That's a page without any paragraph breaks in it. It's really overwhelming to the reader and it makes it harder to follow your argument. If you go back to the 1 point per paragraph idea, this will help. Okay, so moving on a little bit to an area my own work focuses on, to Foucault again. So from the 17th century onwards, the whole domain of the sign is divided between the certain and the probable. That is to say, there can no longer be an unknown sign, a mute mark. So what this means is every element in a paragraph, every sign, brings with it imbued meaning. In your own writing, every paragraph and every sentence needs to be there for a reason. Okay, if they're not, they're distracting the reader from what else is happening in the paragraph. In my tutorials in the past, we've talked a bit about the idea of a topic sentence of the drawing. Okay, this is the opening statement, the very first impression that your reader gets. This applies in writing as well. It starts with your title, and the topic sentence of each paragraph frames and sets up that idea. So it's worth thinking about how you're seeking to convey that meaning. Did I just say meeting? I meant meaning. So, language. So, language. If nothing else, be clear in your language. Keep it simple. So eliminate flowery language. That is any kind of extra descriptions or any technical terms that you don't fully understand. There's often a temptation to write like the authors you are reading, and we subconsciously want to fit in. We want to be part of this discipline. And sometimes that makes us feel like we want to write like someone who's in the discipline. And it's true that there are writing conventions within disciplines, but if you're not clear with your writing, then your ideas will not be understood, and therefore you won't be accepted by the discipline or indeed by anyone. So accuracy in your writing is key, right? Keep your ideas simple, and a complex idea can be explained with simple language. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you're much better off keeping your language a little bit simpler and having your reader follow your arguments well through your essay. Okay, accuracy also goes in terms of lineage, contextualizing your work, ordering it within a lineage, and differentiating from others by showing markers and influences from a range of areas. These come with different conventions, so make sure they're smoothed out. This means references outside the key readings. If you're just using Barthes or Foucault, then believe me, your article better be amazing. But you're already doing this work. You've already pulled together an A5 booklet, a PDF of all your research. But if you haven't done the work in that booklet, it will show in your writing and you risk losing marks. Okay, so if you haven't done that work, set aside some time, pull together your references to support your argument. Take some care with your language and it'll help bring these points across. It'll help show your thinking and your reflection on this idea. Now, if you really want to see whether your writing is accurate and clear, read it out loud. Even better, read it out loud to someone else. Or better still, get someone to read it out loud to you. This is excruciating experience. It's an awful thing to do, but it's really, really helpful. Okay, when someone's reading along to you, have another printed copy and note down where your reader stumbles over language, or where the flow doesn't quite work, or where the meaning gets a bit jumbled. And ask your reader for this information as well. Ask them to tell you where they get lost. Okay, so here are some common grammatical and presentation errors. Always use an accessible font, at least 12 points. Something like Arial or Times New Roman is always a good place to start. That will help with the clarity. Clarity around its versus its. Okay, its versus its. Its with an apostrophe is it is. Its without an apostrophe is a possessive pronoun, so the cat removed its hat. If you're unsure, say it is aloud each time you encounter its in your draft. Does your sentence still make sense? Okay, practice with a C is a noun, is standard deteriorated despite the practice. Practice is a verb. She was practicing a unique form of architecture at the time, is with an S. Affect versus effect. Make sure you understand the difference. These are very different terms. Affect is usually a verb. The project will affect change in the local area. Effect is a noun. The effect of the particular material selection is that it will, go on. So affect versus effect. If you're not sure about these terms, replace them with other language. It's better to make sure you understand them or eliminate them altogether. Split infinitives. So it's the idea of an infinitive version of a verb, to do, to eat, to run. There shouldn't, well, some people think there shouldn't be a word in between the to and the verb. So to more clearly see, to better see, for example. They're not necessarily incorrect, but they're a bit ungainly. So I wouldn't use those. Right. To summarize, multiple sentences, you might need to break down your idea into multiple sentences. You might need to break a larger body of text down, and this is part of your building up of meaning. Simplicity is your friend, can strengthen your argument. You don't need to write like Derrida or Deleuze. Argument structure, sometimes you're saying interesting things, but the point that you say them in, the order in which you say them in has a different impact. So go back to dot points, or once you've got your paragraphs, you might need to move them around. Sometimes you have to kill your darlings. Okay, this is a sentence that you love and you really, really want to keep in the essay, but it doesn't fit. Sometimes you just need to get rid of it. It doesn't fit in the argument, it doesn't have a place in a paragraph, just get rid of it. And read it out loud. So I hope you found some interesting points in this video. I hope you find something that helps you. You can talk this through with your tutors. You can always contact me via email. Thanks very much for listening. So I hope you found this video interesting. I hope there have been some points in here that will help you with your writing and help you stay accurate. If you have any questions, you can talk these through with your tutors, or you can always contact me via email at this address. Thanks for listening.